Hey everyone. Okay, so the obvious place to start with this chapter is how it really did all begin with Lily. Because putting the whole D reveal to the side for a moment, whatever Queen Lily learned back then, all the way 800 years ago, whether it was about Eam, about the government, the history of the world, the legacy of those that carried the D, it all died with her, as according to Eam, it's thanks to Lily that the poneglyphs were scattered across the world, which right out of the gate, I do want to know how that was possible. I'm not gonna lie, this was a chapter where I wish Oda did give us a couple more concrete answers on some things, because when Eam basically says it's thanks to Lily that the poneglyphs ended up scattered across the world, it begs the question of how did she do that? How did Lily manage to make that happen? Because if it was just one poneglyph, how did she scatter it? If there was just one poneglyph initially, how did it scatter into those many pieces? Like it's little details like that I wish we got an answer to, honestly. And this chapter unfortunately didn't really provide an answer, I think, to it. It was just kind of just saying it was just kind of explaining what happened, I guess you could say. And even honestly, I would have even taken just a little bit more on like the history of the D and whatnot. But if we take what Eam said at face value, that when taking the reveal that those with the D are the ones who oppose the gods into consideration, then I think it has to go without saying Eam isn't human, but he is basically a god of sorts. But that just begs the question of what kind of god is he then? Because based off what we see when Sabo jumps in to save Cobra, Eam seems to be just almost like a living shadow, a monster that can twist its form, which in itself I feel almost kind of makes me wonder more if the power to destroy Lelouch is just a power that Eam stole when the government first came to power, and or if it's power he obtained from Lily or somewhere else, because after because when Eam mentions the possibility that the role Lily played in the whole Poneglyph affair wasn't an accident, it does start to add up a bit. In fact, I think it's almost fair to say that Lily was like a co-conspirator who worked alongside Joy Boy, or a version of Joy Boy, because it seems like Joy Boy definitely played a part in a lot of this, of what set this into motion. So was Lily like a co-conspirator of Joy Boy, or was Lily or even more so, was Lily at the time the Joy Boy? Like, did Lily inherit the title of Joy Boy at that time? Was she one of the first Joy Boys to set these events into motion? That's kind of where that's kind of got me questioning, like, what was Lily's role in all this kind of thing. Now, I've been beating around the bush, but yeah, let's talk about the Nefertari being part of the D clan. And for me, it's one of those things where, in context of Lily's actions and the Nefertari choosing to abandon their status as one of the founders, it does make sense within that context. But as far as the story as a whole, that's the complicated part, because even taking into account Alabasta's poneglyph, something about the core idea of the Nefertari being part of the D clan, I don't know. It's it connects if it's like one of those things where if Lily turned out to be like one of the first Joy Boys or something like that, but at the same time it also isn't connecting for me, in the sense where maybe it's just my own personal headcanon, I don't know, but I think it would have just been more preferential that the Nefertari as a whole be allies of the D clan rather than members, and the poneglyph was something they were entrusted to the Nefertari, for safekeeping. That just sounds like the better explanation in my head. But at the same time, it's not like I outright hate it either. It's just something about it doesn't fit. There's a piece missing here that just feels like it doesn't fit with that. But with that said, it does feel, because I think one of the things for me too is that with the reveal of the Nefertari being of the D clan, it feels like the D in general is losing a little bit of importance. It almost feels like anyone can be a member of the D clan now. Like I really feel that they really should have limited it to certain people within the world, not just like and to the people who already were within the world, and just having Vivi be one. It works for what I want to see in the future, but I don't know, I can't explain it properly. Something just feels off with it. With that said, I will say I think the Nefertari being of the D clan, I think, does work in the sense where it does give the Nefertari, but more importantly, Vivi, more of a role to play in the final climax of the story. Because I'll be honest, up to this point, Vivi has really just been a side character without any overarching purpose in the grand story other than being of a royal family. So in that sense, this does add more urgency to Vivi's role in the future, as being more than just a princess now. Or at least I hope this is Oda's way of trying to fix that. So in that sense, I like it. It's just everything else about it, I don't know. It feels a little off, in my opinion. With that said, the rest of the chapter is just covering ground of how Vivi managed to escape and all the other events that were happening in between. But with that said, good old Fujitora, the man never lets us down, and the fact that he outright went on a rampage and assisted in freeing the slaves alongside the revolutionaries is just the kind of gutsy I appreciate. And in some ways, we knew this was coming. We knew from the moment Fujitora arrived on Mary Joie that he was going to pull something crazy. So I think it's fair to say him freeing the slaves was pretty much his original plan. Probably his original plan to begin with, but the revolutionaries and Sabo barging in, I think, gave him the perfect reasons in order to move forward with his plan. Even if it might have been a bit ahead of schedule. And this is one thing that I really love. Fujitora has always had the resolve to do things others throughout the series did not. Or in Smoker's case, Smoker's Word, for example, lacked the power to do so. And now here he is just fucking everything up for the government, for the Celestial Dragons. And it's beautiful. It is just beautiful. Like so much shit is got fucked up for the Celestial Dragons at Mary Joie, and I just kind of love it. I embrace that shit. Also, when we cut back to the meeting of the kings, you see Riku giving a questioning side glance, and honestly, I think that is more meant to portray his suspicions of what happened to Cobra, but I wonder about whether or not he knew about what Fujitora was planning. Because I don't know, it feels like he knows something. He knows something about that this was going to happen and whatnot. And okay, honestly, at this point, Fujitora and Akainu have to come to blows for me. Like, no matter where Fujitora ends up after this chapter, we have to see a fight between him and Akainu. That, with how their conversation went back on Dressrosa and the friction that already happened there, as well as how Fujitora only exacerbated the situation by fighting Ryokugyu, it is feeling like Oda is setting up for Akainu and Fujitora to have a fight over control of the Navy, and honestly, I would not be against it if by the end of the series, Oda makes Fujitora a fleet admiral. Like, it feels like that's just the route he's planning on going with this, and I'm just completely okay with it. Like, everything is pointing in Fujitora having probably the most important role in the future, in the climax of the series, and yeah, I'm all here for it. And you know what? I'm not even gonna lie. I kind of felt a little bit sorry for Wapol in this chapter. Like, man probably wasn't expecting to learn what he did, and was probably looking to get the fuck out of Dodge before anything happened, but ultimately ended up taking Vivi with him. Like, I mean, you could say it is definitely a case of curiosity killed the cat, and really it was just Wapol trying to save his own skin, but it's kind of expected with Vivi just getting mixed up in all this. But I I will say, I think I do like how there are legitimate reasons for him to be afraid. Like before, it's just he was just a pussy. I'm just gonna say it. He was a pussy. He was just a coward and an idiot. But here, there are legitimate reasons for him to be afraid in this one. And yeah, I do feel a little bit sorry for him in this chapter. With that said, guys, that's all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. From my Twitter, Analyst Crunchyroll. Be sure to notification bell, hit the subscribe button, and just share it around, guys. Dark Knight only signing off. Later, everyone.